Are you coping or do you feel like you're crashing? I think it's a hidden build-up, isn't it? And a very subtle journey between the two, between coping and crashing. I coped for a really, really long time. Every so often there'd be a little nudge from my body that I wasn't coping. Um, like a period of illness that just wouldn't be shaken off, or not being able to sleep for periods of time. There were many times when I think I slipped between the two, from coping to crashing, and maybe you can relate to that too. The sense that you're sort of hanging on with your fingernail ends, hoping that you'll just be okay. Getting the sense that if you just got this, that, and the other done, you'd be okay. You'd be coping in some way, shape, or form. And of course, while ever we're just trying to cope, while ever we're on the edge of crashing, it's like all sorts of different things come into play, don't they? So for me, overworking was one of those things. But not just overworking at work, but overworking in my social life as well, if that can be understood as a thing. Maybe you can relate to that. By the time I burnt out, which is over 10 years ago now, just over 10 years ago as I'm making this video, there was a lot of overing. Like, I don't know if that's a word, but there was a lot of overing. There was a lot of overworking, over socializing, over dating, even that, me, high achieving online data. There was just a lot of there was a lot of overthinking. There was a lot of overwhelm, of course. There was so much people pleasing. But actually, when I think about it now, it wasn't really people pleasing, it was inner critic pleasing. Because it was my inner critic that kept saying, "Oh, you just need to do a little more. You're just not quite doing enough." And so I just kept doing more and more and more. And our bodies just can't handle it. It's the mind that's saying you can cope. You can keep going, Superwoman or Superman. Keep going. You'll be all, just do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And it's the body that crashes. Because the body all the time is saying, well, actually, no, really, that's enough. I'm tired. Let me rest. And if we don't listen to that, of course, just like what happened to me, the body eventually forces us to stop. And I remember how overwhelmed I then felt when I eventually did burn out. That the point where I would look at the dishwasher and just feel this feeling of dread. I couldn't even cope with emptying the dishwasher. Because it seems that we almost run out of coping. We just keep going and keep going and keep going. And we run out of the ability to cope. Because, just to clarify, in case you didn't know, you're a human being, not a machine. We rested a lot, I think. I think our ancestors rested a lot. I think when we lived amongst nature, we had no choice but to rest. Because it was dark. Like in the winter, we didn't have many means to light our way, so we would rest a lot in the winter. Lots of animals still do that, don't they? The little squirrels are absolutely crazy bonkers in the autumn, aren't they? Collecting all the nuts and getting them all stashed away. But that's so that they can rest more in the winter, not expend loads of energy. Because they need to stay warm but still have food. So they've got it all buried, haven't they? Ready, waiting for them. So they don't have to work so hard in the winter. We do Christmas, just to clarify. We just keep going and we just do more and more and more. And in the winter, I don't think we even consider that we should do less. We're so out of tune, so out of tune with what our bodies actually need. Like we just can't hear that the body needs us to rest. It's like we've abandoned the body. We've abandoned its needs, whether that's because we're now not eating properly, not drinking enough, not resting enough, not just stopping enough and doing absolutely nothing, not sleeping enough. You wouldn't do it to your car, would you? Like most of us who want our car to stay running and stay on the road, look after it. We put the right fuel in, we check the oil, we maybe put some screen wash in, we check that it's working, we get it serviced. Why don't we treat ourselves better? I'm not sure really. It's very, very, very strange. And mostly we don't realise how close, how we're slipping from coping to crashing. Because I didn't at all until literally I was stopped in my tracks. Just over 10 years ago, I went to work one day, I looked at my computer in my office and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't switch it on. It was like a complete shutdown, a freezing that happened. And I couldn't do it. I walked out of work and never went back. And I had no awareness at all that I was slippery sloping from coping to crashing. It was really hidden. Well, it wasn't hidden. It was there. There were so many signs screaming and shouting at me. Maybe you've got some of those. If you're getting sick all the time, don't buy into that story of there's a bug going round. If you're catching a bug and then you're catching the next bug, it seems, and then you can't shake off that bug and it's carrying on and carrying on. Don't buy into a story that illness is part of this life we live. Illness is massively contributed to by this coping, by being stressed all the time, by hanging on with our fingernail ends, because our body, one of the first things it does is shut down our immune system and says, no, actually, no, we're not doing that. That's enough. And we don't have the capacity or the energy or the anything to keep fighting off viruses. That no capacity for that. Puts that down. The body puts that down. One of the first things it puts down. We've normalized this absolutely ridiculous idea of working from a place of operating from a place of pressure all the time. So we may feel that in our bodies, but that's just become so normal that we don't even notice it's happening. And we're slipping all the time from coping to crashing. It's so subtle. For me, it was just a gradual slipping away of my sanity, fundamentally, but of my body's ability to function. That I would say that was probably kind of how it panned out, with probably the first thing. Well, sleep definitely came in and out of being problematic. My immune system was shot. I was catching everything that was going around at the time, and I think told myself the same story that you might be telling yourself. Oh, well, it's just the winter. It's just there's a lot of stuff going around at the moment. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't been sick with a cough or a cold or a flu or a coronavirus or anything for literally years. I don't remember the last time I was poorly like that. So it's not going round, is it? It's because we're run down. It's because we're sliding down that slippery slope from just about coping to crashing. You know, it's this cumulative weight of tiny self-abandonments. We keep abandoning ourselves. We keep tuning out the body, which is saying, please, no more, no more. And so that's what I'd like to leave you with today, this some sort of connection to your body, however you choose to do that. To just stop maybe a couple of times a day at the very least and just check in with your body. What does it need? I did this one day last week, I think it was maybe Friday, and I could feel that I was just not feeling so good and just tired, really. And I'd had a few nights of my sleep being a bit wobbly, and I just sat for a moment and just said to my body, what do you need? And I kind of closed my eyes to do that, and immediately I knew I needed to rest, and I went and had a nap. Now, I'm very fortunate that I have the opportunity to do that because I work for myself and I had a space in my schedule. And maybe you have to find other ways to do that, and that's okay. But please stop ignoring your body. Stop ignoring that hidden build-up that's building up over time and getting more and more unhealthy, I guess is the word for you. Are you slipping from coping to crashing? Do you need some help to just develop your awareness of that so that you can start to tune in better to your body, listen in to what it needs? I hope that's been helpful. I really do. It's so important that we really do learn to listen to ourselves and listen to mostly our bodies. Don't listen to your head. That's the one causing the chaos. That's the part of us that's causing the chaos. Take care. Lots of love. Thank you so much.